Welcome into episode 22 of Just Another Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Just Another Chris. And I sit down and have an insightful conversation with Vanessa, which you probably know her best over on Instagram as Vanessa's Photo Project. Yeah, she's posting 1,000 photos in this series, and she's posting them over there. It's really, really cool. We learn about her inspiration, her thoughts behind everything, and just a lot more. It's really cool. So enough rambling. Let's dive right on in to episode 22 of Just Another Podcast. Enjoy. Vanessa, oh my gosh. How are you? How's it going?
It's going pretty well. It's currently outside land, so I'm wondering if you could hear the background music of my apartment, but
Yeah, I
it's
can't hear anything.
exciting.
Can't hear anything.
Cool.
So
Oh,
that's
I
good.
can hear it.
I bet. So for the fine people at home that might not know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? Just kind of talk about what you do.
Hi there, my name is Vanessa. I am in the midst of a photography project wherein I am photographing and posting 1,000 moments of captured ordinary magic that inspires me to, how would I say, appreciate the simple gratitude I have every day in
Okay.
my life. Yeah.
It's instant photography related. I know we got some audience questions, so some of them were some questions I was going to ask you anyway. So we'll get to those later. But some of my questions would be, what's your kind of like your favorite medium or camera to use? Like, what film format are you mostly focused on?
Considering this is just an instant photography project, I have a
Mm-hmm.
Fuji film Instax wide, a lomography instant camera, the Lamo instant wide, and I have a Polaroid land camera that I shoot 600 film with.
Right on. And so this project, what's the end goal for it? Do you have like a stopping point, and then is it going to go somewhere, like in a book or a zine or something?
You know, considering I'm not quite at 50% complete with this project, I think I'm still considering what the bookmark and or the bookend might be of this project. It could be a zine, it could just be an art show, it could just be a simple reflection for myself, like what did I notice after capturing 1,000 moments of gratitude.
Okay, I like that. I like a lot of times I hear people when they say they're going to do a project or whatever, but they like to talk about it, but they never end up starting it. I like I like when people actually just start doing it and then figuring it out as they go along.
Well, just like with anything.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So you said you're almost halfway through. Now, well, first of all, how long have you been doing this project?
I took my first photo January 1st, 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was one of those New Year's Eve walk, sunset walk ideas that I kind of just followed through with. And because I made it public, I kind of have to follow through with it, I think.
Yeah,
So it's like accountability from myself. But yeah, I don't know.
I like it. Now, how often do you shoot for it? If you're, so I know some people do it like they do like a daily photography or daily instant photo type project. And since you've been doing it since 2021, obviously you're not doing it every day. So how often or when do you know when you're going to be shooting something for it?
Well, I actually did try to do one photograph a day, but that became tricky because I realized that kind of tethered me to my computer and my scanner, which I didn't necessarily want to be bound to.
Yeah.
Um, because, I make the attempt to spend much of my day out in nature, walking and hiking. So, yeah, I guess I post about once a week, average, right about now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And so, why did you choose to do it with instant photography and not just something like another type of form?
I guess I kind of like the tactile aspect of shooting with a camera and having the film in front of me and develop before my eyes and being able to reflect right then and there on what I see and what I feel with a particular photograph.
Hmm. Okay, that's cool. I like that a lot. I like how you incorporate like I won't say like practical elements into your photography. I really enjoy that. I had someone on the previous podcast episode with Gregory, where he created a zine with instant photography, and he incorporated as much practicalness as possible to kind of keep it in that like real analog, like tactile feel. And I really enjoy like your posts where so what I'm talking about is with your photos, you like write on them or you cut out pieces of like paper or sayings and like you glue them on or tape them onto the photos. I think that's really really cool, and I would love to know like where you got that idea from, or where that kind of stem from. Like what was your inspiration for that?
My inspiration. I guess you should know that I'm a preschool teacher during the week, so I always have like realistically 10 post-its surrounding me at any given time. Um, in my work life and my home life. So I'm often writing on whatever
Hmm.
scraps or pieces of paper I can find. So it makes sense for me to have pens and markers accessible. And often I can see a photograph and I like to jot something down that seems to kind of echo the photograph itself, if that makes sense. Like I've talked about how photography and the words that like kind of or like the poetry that resonates with the moment, I think that they're kind of symbiotic. Like photography is an echo of the prose that comes to me, and prose is the echo of the photography that I see. It's just like a never ending cycle of creativity. But as far as like the practical cutting of text, I don't know. I guess I like collage work also. I appreciate
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and I try to incorporate that when I can too, and not as often as I would like. But I after talking with Gregory and now like getting you on here, I'm like, ooh, get more inspired to like start doing some of that stuff again. I think it's really fun. That's one of the reasons I even got into instant photography to begin with was just how just practical or just real or analog. It's tactile. It's real. It's not a digital photo sitting on your phone that you're never going to look at after you take it 2 seconds later. Type of thing. So that's really cool. Now, outside of that project, like, how long have you been shooting instant photography?
Well, I turned 38 this week, so let's do some quick math. Oh, geez, I guess over 20 years now. Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
so you definitely have seen the evolution of instant photography. You were there in the days when it was still actually really Polaroid, and
Yeah.
then when it wasn't, and then now it is, and then definitely through the Fuji journey as well. That's pretty cool. So, what drew you to it in the first place? Like, what got you into shooting instant photography?
Well, I guess being a product of the 80s, 1980s, I guess it's been sort of ever present. I can look at family photo albums and there's Polaroids, like fading Polaroids presented in there, and it wasn't nostalgic in the moment. It was just the technology that was popular. It was contemporary at the time and new, and now we use it as like this. It almost feels like an ironic, nostalgic camera that people use for fun, but I guess it's always been present. So I appreciate the evolution and being present to see the evolution of instant photography.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Do you so bringing it back to a little bit to your project. Now you're sharing them and posting them over on Instagram. Are you doing anything with them outside of Instagram currently? I know you said you don't know exactly what you're doing with like for the main end goal date for everything, but or is it right now they're just like, hey, in a shoebox?
Currently, they reside in a box, but I mean, I have some photographs on my refrigerator. Some of them have been in art shows. I am kind of working on like a prototype of an exhibition for 100 of these photographs that kind of focus on the symbiotic relationship that I referred to before of the written word
Hmm.
and the photograph itself. So that is like a project within a project, I guess. So yeah.
Well, yeah, that's great. I like hearing what people do with the photos after they get taken or then maybe posted to online? Because I know people that shoot and it's just like, oh yeah, they just go into the album or go into a shoebox. I'm like, well, what it kind of takes away from, I think, the whole point of instant photography. You have a physical copy; it should be seen.
I think realistically too, they could also be used as bookmarks. Like some of them are bookmarks. Some of them
Oh,
just become coasters for a cup of coffee. So they have
that's cool.
multi-purpose use.
I like that. I've never heard that, a bookmark or even a coaster. That's really cool.
Realistically,
Yeah, I really
I
like
mean, you
that.
have them laying around.
Yeah, I have so many of them. I'm always trying to find a fun way to display or use them. I've never heard that, so that's really cool. That's exciting. I already in my head, I'm like thinking up like 5 different ways to make coasters out of photography or out of the like Polaroids. It's a really good idea. That's awesome. Love hearing that. Um, so going back to your cameras, do you have a particular one that you like to shoot with more so over the another?
I don't know if I have one that I prefer to shoot with more so over another one. They all sort of have distinct um, results.
Mm,
So I enjoy them all for their different capabilities, I guess I'd say.
okay. Now, you must always have one with you then, right? If you're going to be doing this project, you just have to have one because you never know when like a moment's going to strike.
I probably carry realistically the Fuji film in stacks wide most often because I recently took it to work and used it for some art projects with the children I work with. So because it's an instant developing product,
Yeah.
so children enjoy watching the magic of film being developed before their eyes.
Yeah, my nephew, he just thinks it's witchcraft. Every time he sees me, he's like, "Hey, where's that camera?" And I give him the Fuji one just because it's fast. Polaroid will take way too long in there.
Yeah.
They can't comprehend. It's like this is lame. It's taking too long. But yeah, so it just blows his mind every single time. It's just literally like magic. Hey, real quick, I wanted to remind you guys about the members area. Yeah, there are some amazing perks by becoming a member of the Spitfire Club, such as extended versions of Just Another Podcast, and extended versions of YouTube videos, and early access to said YouTube videos, and exclusive monthly signed photos sent to your door, and access to the members' exclusive Spitfire Club t-shirt. But that's not all. There is now an exclusive members only Zoom call. Yeah, we have our club meeting. We sit down, we chat, we talk about things that we're into, things that we're struggling with, things we want to improve, and special guest appearances from other like-minded content creators. Ugh, it's so much fun. If you want to become a member today, there is a link in the description below. I'll see you in there. Let's take a quick peek at some of the questions because actually I got the most submitted questions for this particular podcast. So a lot of people were excited to have you on here. So I actually would normally do this more closer to the end, but there's a lot, and I kind of want to do a few extra. So this one comes courtesy of Noptop, my friend Dave. He says, "What photo project have you noticed your style change, like subject or composition?"
Let me see from the beginning. I think I've incorporated more writing and modification to the original photograph, i.e., collage work, writing. Yeah, within on the actual photograph itself. I that didn't originally. Um, that wasn't originally part of the plan, but I'm kind of just going with it. I'm evolving. We're all evolving. So
Oh yeah.
this project is evolving.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, even the stuff that I was like started out shooting when I was doing even before the YouTube channel, but even definitely during the YouTube channel, it's changed and it's evolved and uh, it's always happening. You always got to be open to change. It's really fun. This question, I think, it's kind of maybe more tailored or targeted to both of us, maybe. Young Lord Ant is asking, best advice for posting consistently. We'd love to know your thoughts on that, because I struggle with that sometimes.
Well, I guess I have a question for that. What is the purpose or need to post
Ooh.
consistently? Because I don't necessarily see that as an important aspect. I don't necessarily value consistent um, tethering to technology, but I guess I just have more questions about the questions, but advice for posting
Mm.
consistently. I guess if I needed to, um, probably just having a calendar because
Mm.
I work best myself with calendars and to-do lists. I would just incorporate it to and as part of my daily routine. But that's just me. I'm curious to hear what you think about posting consistently.
I love your insights on this stuff. This is really exciting because I have a different perspective just because of I'm on the other end of needing to quote stay relevant or feed the YouTube algorithm to stay in those search results basically. So posting consistency is something that's very common or a common question within the creative world or content creation world, but consistency could mean a lot of different things, such as posting every day, or posting once a week, posting once a month, or even once a year. That's still technically consistency as long as it's happening like either on that same day or that time of week or that first Friday of every month or something. That's still considered consistency. But your perspective was quite interesting, and I've never heard that before, and that was really cool. But here's a good one from Salem Vlogs. What drew you to photography?
The draw to photography. What draws anybody to photography?
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
It's a loaded question.
yeah, I guess photography is capturing a moment that you want to remember, savor in the future. We're bound by this finite timeline. And, you know, I've experienced COVID, I think, 3 or 4 times now. And I find that my memory isn't as strong as it was back in
Mm-hmm.
2019. I don't know if that's just like a placebo effect from reading
Mm.
about all of the, you know, health effects of long term COVID and illness. And maybe I want to capture some moments from my life right now that I hope to be grateful for saving later on in life if I'm blessed with a longer life, in this realm of unpredictability.
But yeah, it's a hard question to answer though. Like why does anyone get into photography? That's a tough one. It's a really tough question because there's just something about capturing, like you said, moments or just particular spots in time, just to look back on like what life used to be like. I think it's really really fun. So Matt Camp is asking. You kind of sort of answer this a little bit, but I'm going to ask it anyway because why not? Matt Camp says, "What do you prefer, Polaroid or Fuji?"
I find that, well, they both produce such clear photographs. I feel like my Polaroid is so fickle that I never really know what I'm going to get as a result.
Facts.
um, but it's always a treat when I discover a beautiful photograph. Um, but the Fuji film in Stax Wide is pretty consistent.
Hmm.
Um, and there's more contrast, I find, in the resulting image. But when a Polaroid delivers, it delivers incredibly.
That's the yes facts right there. Mic drop basically is all it needs to be said. No, um, I 100,000% agree. Fuji is just consistent. When you grab that camera, you know exactly what you're gonna get. A very beautiful saturated picture, and it's gonna be great, evenly exposed. It's gonna be fantastic. However, with all the quirks and the unpredictability of Polaroid, I still lean more towards Polaroid being my like favorite to shoot. The cameras I think are just more fun. And then when you nail a Polaroid, like you said, it
Yeah.
delivers. It delivers.
Yeah.
It's more rewarding, I guess. Maybe because of just how I guess more difficult it is to get a good picture. I don't know, but the way it looks too, it just doesn't have the same look as a Fuji or an Instax picture. So I still lean more towards Polaroid, even though it's the most fickle one, as you say, and more expensive and less photos per pack. There's just so much more you have to worry about. Temperature outside.
Yeah.
So much stuff. Fuji, you don't have to worry about any of that, and it's cheaper. But yeah, good question. Great question. Actually, this is a question that I would like to ask you / this person. So it's a great thing. HK Anderson says, film or instant photos? Now, do you shoot other types of film photography outside of instant photography?
I used to have a digital camera that I used. Right now, I have a 35 millimeter in the closet. I just haven't taken. I haven't. The film has been sitting in there, I think, untouched for a year. But that is something that I own and I have used occasionally. It just involves more work on my part to have things developed.
Yeah.
Um, with my schedule, it's a little tricky. I overload myself, I'd say, pretty consistently every week with activities and projects and you know
Yeah.
other things. So I would like to use my film camera more often. I would like to do a lot of things more often.
Same.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I am.
Yeah. I think this question mostly comes from there wanting maybe potentially an update for me because I told one of my goals for 2024 was to do more film photography outside of or in addition to instant photography because I do enjoy it, and so I was going to incorporate more content on my channel. But I have, but haven't ironically haven't made a lot of videos about it yet. But I've been shooting more. But what I'm finding is I don't find the same joy in it because at the end of the day, even though it's still film, it's a digital photo that you get in return after you're taking the picture, and you're spending all that money just for a digital photo, unless it's literally you're in your own darkroom doing the enlargements yourself. Which I don't have the means to do. It's still a digital photo at the end of the day, and I'm like, I don't really. It's still fun. It's the process of it all, leading up to actually getting it developed is fun because I really enjoy shooting it in the sense that like I take the picture, I'm not staring at my camera screen, I'm not like paying attention, I'm living in the moment more. I'm able to enjoy what's going around or what's happening in front of me versus take 1,000 photos and constantly flip in the back of the camera to look at the screen to make sure everything looks good. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on the film photography versus instant. So yeah, I lean more towards instant photos. Much more fun and rewarding. Probably more expensive though in the end because you're constantly having to pay for those photos.
Well, what you said also kind of makes me think when you said we're not living in the moment when we're focusing on taking photos. But it's like a paradox. We're busy taking photos because we want to enjoy the moment, but are we living in the moment if we're taking photos? So
Exactly.
I don't know.
Because
That's something
see,
to think about.
if you're using a digital camera, I feel like yeah, you're there, but you're not. You're present, but you're not there. I think it was a better way of saying it because your mind's is paying attention to that camera screen, snapping the photos, and that's where you're living in. Who know whatever's happening in front of you, you don't know technically because it's through the lens. Now, if you're shooting film, you're looking through the lens, but you snap the photo and that's it, and you're not going to take 1,000 more. So I think you're more present. I think that's how I'm seeing it. But it's still, you're right. That's an interesting paradox I've never thought about before. The insight you're providing is fantastic. Changing lives. Changing lives. Here's a question from Dion is IOG. Whew, I'm terrible with usernames. Tips and tricks with Integrafilm, aka Polaroid or Instax. How to work. Oh, and then second part to that is how to work as an instant photographer. Well, I would love to know what your thoughts on that would be.
Okay, how to work.
Yeah, how to
Well,
work.
attempting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming how they time manage their 40-hour-a-week job and also devote time for photography.
Yeah.
Uh, Well, how do you? Well, myself, I've sort of taken a step back from intentionally packing my camera every day because, you know, I don't like looking for something to photograph. Instead,
Mm,
I wait to naturally come across something that catches my eye or I find inspiring or beautiful or, provides an aha moment for reflection. So I think that's sort of the path I've recently taken in naturally integrating photography into my life instead of seeking it out, especially as somebody who, is out of their apartment 40 plus hours a week.
yeah.
Um, it's hard and you want to prioritize yourself and life. I mean, I'm fortunate. I live in San Francisco. There's always something amazing happening, or there's beautiful, breathtaking sights like every 15 minutes in either direction of my home. So, um, yeah, I think prioritizing your life is important. Unless your job is you're a photographer, then
Yeah.
that's different.
I'm gonna give well, first of all,
Yeah.
fantastic. San Francisco. I was just there in March for PolaCon. Surprised I didn't see you
Oh
there.
yeah.
Did you go?
No, but I think you and I had met. Maybe I think I shared some tips of where you should go eat or where to
Yeah,
visit.
I think it
Maybe.
was something like that. We had some conversation about it, but we'll loop back to that because I actually wanted to talk about a little bit about PolaCon. So going back to that question from Dion, I'm just gonna call him Dion. I can't pronounce the rest of it. I'm gonna take the approach of more of him asking how to work as one, like how to be how to make money off of instant photography. Because I get that question sometimes, and I've been wanting to make videos about that and how to actually turn your passion into maybe a side gig or maybe a full-time career. And the only thing I can really come up with or give advice on from my own experiences, do a YouTube channel because I was into it and then I just started well, I was spending so much money on it. I'm like, I need to make money back off of this because it's so expensive. And I already have YouTube experience and all that jazz. So I turned into a YouTube channel to share the hobby and slowly get some of that money back. Nowhere near what I spent in, by mind you. The other thing, an idea I've been trying to maybe get out there or put out there is if you are a wedding photographer, you could offer instant photography in your package as something you could sell and shoot photos, and then they have photos on the day of their wedding instead of having to wait to get photos back after you could either edit them or whatever. You just shoot the photos, and at the end of the day, you got a whole stack of photos that they can have that day. I think that's a pretty cool missed money opportunity right there. And then the first part of the question is just tips and tricks. Well, that's a kind of a very broad, loaded question. It's hard to answer without specifics, but tips and tricks on shooting instant photography, I can help you out because I have a masterclass on how to shoot instant photography. Yeah, baby, segue into a pitch sales ad. Not really. There is a link in the description. Master the art of instant photography. It's like a 3.5 hour masterclass, and I did like 2 1-hour workshops that are included. Yeah, go check it out. It helps you out. Go through the basics and a little bit more advanced stuff too. Now, coming back to San Francisco and PolaCon and all that stuff. Have you been to any of the PolaCons there? I think there's only been a couple,
Uh,
to be honest, if I remember
no,
right.
I myself haven't attended.
Hmm, that's pretty cool. You live there? Don't shut up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, no.
Uh,
Just so you know, I am uncool. I like last night I was thinking about this. Like outside lands is happening. There's events all over the city. Kamala Harris is in town. I spent my Friday night listening to Hidden Brain at the gym with all the other introverts. So
I can relate. Even though I need to go to the gym, I need to start going. I used to, but I literally sit in pretty much this chair and edit videos, and then it looks like I live this extravagant life where I travel all the time, which I do try to travel whenever I can. But it's funny. I see more of other cities than my own city. I could just go outside and I mean, basically, I don't live in Portland, but I live like 10 minutes over the bridge and on the Washington side from Portland, Oregon. And so I could literally just go to Portland anytime I want. And it's just like a San Francisco city, even though probably San Francisco's got a lot more going on. But you never know what you're going to see in Portland. And I just I don't really venture out there very often. But speaking of that, though, of traveling and Policon, I seen that you went to New York recently this year, right? But that was for something that you did, right? You had some sort of showing.
Yeah, Lomography partnered with who was it? CRC in the Lower East Side, and they printed some of their some lomography photographs, and one of mine was chosen to be displayed.
Nice.
So it was really fun going to a party and meeting other fellow lomographers, and you know, I needed to. I feel like. Oh yeah, I was also planning on having my aura photographed that week too, so it all kind of worked out. It was kismet.
Kismet. Love that. Now, would you or have you considered going to the New York Policon?
Um, you know, possibly. I don't. I'm open to all new adventures. I enjoy traveling. But I when I take photographs, I'm always by myself. Like I'm in
Same.
one photography club here in San Francisco, but it's just a couple of other women, um, and it's wonderful. But I consider myself kind of like a lone wolf when it comes to shooting. I you know I don't know. I can't, I think it's my personality. Maybe it's like an introverted personality type that I have. Uh, I don't go to parties.
There's nothing wrong with that. I was that way for a long time. I'm trying to break out of that shell and be more social, be more, like out there or whatever. And so this year I was like making it a goal to like make appearances at these events. And I'm glad I did because it was like so much fun. I met a lot of people. That there's because there's like I have two friends here. Well, they're a couple, so they're really just like one person. But they live here local. They're the only ones I have friends wise that shoot photography or shoot instant photography. So, but it was really awesome to like go and meet all these other people that I've either chatted with online, and they all came to the same place. It was like it was so much fun. And but yeah, I can relate to the whole party thing. I was never into the party life. Never went to any like high school parties or anything like that. I kind of just was introverted to myself. I think all
Yeah.
YouTubers and I would say even most film photographers in general, they're just introverted people. They're just like out shooting photos by themselves, hanging out because
Yeah.
it's what we do.
Yeah. Actually, it's like professional development week at the school I work at, and I realized like, wow, I'm such a loner. I just want to like instead of hanging out and socializing with everybody on campus, I just want to like walk around by myself and listen to Chopin and like lie and say I have to like go get something to drink or something to eat, but really I just want to like listen to classical music and like stroll and look for birds and squirrels. Like
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm uncool.
No, no, no. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, like at all. I couldn't relate more, to be honest. But yeah, nothing wrong with that. No one says that you have to like go to these things, do all this
Yeah.
stuff. You know, you gotta do it unless like there's something inside of you that's like, oh, I really want to, but I have reservations. I'd rather just stay in, but I want to. And then maybe there's something there that like, okay, and you just need a person to like give you that push, the little nudge, like, oh, just hang out for a little bit, 20 minutes, see how you feel.
Actually, like I won't even go to my own art show sometimes. Like if I'm in an art
Oh,
show, like I'll pace outside of like an art show opening. I'll just pace and I'll be like, you know what? I just want to go home and have a glass of wine. That's okay. It's like I'm there. I saw it from outside. It's okay. I know I'm so weird. I don't
no,
know. I It's okay, but you know what? I've reached that point in my life where like I accept it. Like it's okay to be yourself. Like everybody is a unique spark. Some people were just different, and that's okay.
Yeah. Like literally any creative person that I've ever met, really, they either admit it, or you can kind of like get the vibe that we're just different people. That's why we express ourselves creatively, because we don't know how else to communicate. At least that's how I always perceive things.
That's so true because like you could write like I guess I guess it's still like in the forefront of my brain, but like all of these get to know you activities I did this week, like I feel like instead of talking about myself, which I don't want to do, couldn't I just do like an interpretive dance and then like do that silently and then just sit back down because I don't want to share. I'm better just watching. I don't
Well,
know.
well, I feel honored that you just said yes to come onto the podcast.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, especially early in the morning. Like I can't believe it.
Wow, I'm shocked. Wow, feel so lucky. But yeah, no, like kind of how you were saying how you're like boring or whatever. I'd say the opposite, because I've met like those quote unquote popular kids in high school. They're like loud, obnoxious. They go to the parties. That's all they do. They don't not providing like more to like anything else. Like we meet somebody. I'm drawing a blank on a perfect example, but like Banksy. How about an artist? Banksy, like well, one, no one knows technically who that person really is, but also like look what they're providing to the world. But they're probably so introverted, hiding in a room somewhere, that they feel like they're kind of boring. But no, look what they're doing. They're not boring. They're the opposite. And so I think like artists or photographers, we can feel that way a lot of times.
When artists put it out there, it's just an alternative form of expression as opposed to, you know, socialization. Artistic expression is so important and versatile that it does take intention and time, and we're cultivating that space in like our home creative spaces. Like I need time to express, and whether that be with my piano or my paintings that I have, I'll set up on weekends sometimes, or my photography, like I need space and
Yeah.
time to curate so I can express this nuanced feeling that I can't even articulate.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of times where I'm just like sitting in my room at my desk, just like scrolling Facebook or YouTube or whatever, doesn't matter what it is. But what's really going on in my mind, maybe it's just my ADHD. It's like I'm thinking, I'm processing, I'm like trying to come up with inspiration, or I'm working out or fleshing out an idea for a project or a video or something. It doesn't look like I'm working, but I am. Like I'm actually doing something. A lot of times, like, people perceive me as like, oh, you're just lazy, you're not doing anything, you're just sitting there. I'm like, oh, I'm not. I can multitask. I know what's going on in my brain. This is how I'm training, or how I'm prepping for something. Let's grab another one of these. It's kind of on topic here. Overposed says, or asks, what would be your Polaroid passion project?
A Polaroid passion
Yeah,
project.
let's go broad.
Well,
I can say instant photography.
well, I'm unsure how that would differ from the current project I'm doing right now, but a passion, like a fantasy passion project, maybe, like that could be
Hmm.
the question. I guess with unlimited funds, what if I were able to quit my job and just travel and photograph what I see in places that I haven't been to before? That would be a wonderful passion project.
That'd be amazing. That sounds delightful. I wish I had
Yeah.
unlimited money. Um, I've had this kind of like a, what you just said, like a fantasy project idea that probably will never happen. More likely will never happen. But I get asked a lot of times about how, like, who would I want to collaborate with. So, and so it kind of falls under this too. And so one of my favorite bands of all time is the Black Keys. I don't know if you know, familiar with their music or anything, but yeah, I just grew up with them, love them, and I've had this idea, which technically could be applied to any artist out there, but I'd want to, maybe do it with them, because they do a lot of film photography themselves, and they incorporate a lot of that into like their music videos or like their posts online and things like that, which is pretty cool. And they've posted some instant photography stuff over the last several years, so I'm like, ooh, I want to get in on this and do a music video with them, where wherever their next song or album comes out, one of their songs can just be like a photographer, either me or whoever, and they're just snapping like Polaroids of like them like performing the song or whatever, and make those Polaroids kind of just incorporated into whatever that the message of the story or whatever it could be. But all those photos, we'd shoot like hundreds of them, and all those individual photos would then be incorporated into like their album release. So you could get one of the actual Polaroids from that music video. And I thought that would just be a fun project. And plus, I get to work with them.
It doesn't hurt to ask, that's all.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. You
I
get
mean, I
that.
don't know what the first step would be, but maybe you could just go to one of their shows and say, I have a question for you. Here's an idea that I have. I'm wondering if you would like to hear it. And then you just start talking, and then they say, okay, and then it happens.
Hmm. Make it sound so easy.
I know.
But yes, you are absolutely correct. All you gotta do is try. All you gotta do is ask. And that's one thing I've learned over the last 3 or 4 years, because things I thought were just impossible or just things I just never thought I could even do. I was like, oh, this is actually really easy. All I had to do was either ask or do it or start doing the thing or whatever it is.
I think it's funny. Well, I think it's humorous. This isn't the first podcast I've been on wherein I've been asked about my photography, and I can't help find some humor in that. I think technically I am the worst photographer I've ever met. Um, but despite that, people continue to ask me about it. And reflections I have in this project is that photography is just something that anybody can do. And I feel like it hasn't necessarily been about the resulting image in anything that I've ever done. It's about the reflections that I've had and the gratitude for the life experience I've been fortunate enough to have. I mean, it's just by chance that I live this comfortable lifestyle where I can afford like having a crawl space filled with boxes of unopened Polaroid film and Instax film, sitting on a top shelf. Uh, Anybody could produce, if not better, photography than I have posted myself. It's just luck that I have the capabilities to upload with ease in the time that I have. It's just, I don't know, sharing the transparency of my ineptitude.
Yeah.
I don't know. In technical photography, I am a horrible photographer, but I don't know. I guess I find the humor in my lackluster photos. I think it's sweet that they bring joy to others. I actually enjoy that it provides an opportunity for others to reflect on their own fortune that they have been born into.
No, so I was the last podcast episode. Like I had someone on him. His name was Gregory, and he kept bringing up how he's not traditionally trained in photography. And I just like, there's no such thing. All you gotta do is pick up a camera and click that button, and now you're a photographer. You technically you've taken a photo, and then you just learn from that. But the thing is, you may think it's bad. That doesn't mean another person thinks it's bad. They may think this is the most beautiful thing they've ever seen in their entire life. I'm also not a traditionally trained photographer. I didn't go to school. All self-taught, YouTube, figuring it out, experience, going out there, walking around, snapping photos. I'm like, oh, this sucks. I'll try better next time. And so I get people ask me all the time too about labeling me as a photographer, and I always feel weird. I'm like, I'm not a photographer. I'm a video person. I shoot video, and that's my day job is, going out shooting that. And I only got into instant photography because it was a nice refresh to like, or just relaxing to like go out, just push one button. I don't have to edit anything or do anything. I can just have a picture. But in reality, yeah, I guess I am a photographer. You just go out there and shoot photos. We are our worst critics. And don't let that hold people back. Not really talking to you. I'm talking to them at this moment because I get this question all the time. Oh, I want to do this, but I want to be perfect before I start. I'm like, no, you can't be perfect ever. Yeah. But also, you can't be perfect until you actually start. Anyway, that's my rant for today.
Also, there's no such thing as perfection or the perfect photo. It's just, something we strive for, but it's like a horizon.
Yeah, we want to be, but there's no such thing. It's subjective. So just put it out there. Don't be afraid. There'll be people that like it. Look at my junk. Go back and look at my photos if you want to scroll back. Not that my stuff now is good, but like stuff what I was originally doing, come on, it was awful. And then, but yeah, people stuck around, watched the journey. Here we are. I guess I'm a photographer now, even though I don't ever feel like I am, because I've never even I don't do it for work. I don't go out and get hired to do photo gigs. I would take one if someone wants to hire me as an instant photographer, though. That'd be super fun. But I don't go out there and shoot weddings or any sort of corporate events for photo wise. Video wise, but not photography. So hopefully that someone listening can hear that and be like, oh, okay, cool. Chris really doesn't know what he's doing, yet he can do something. And then that means you can too. Yeah, there you go. Words of wisdom, not really, but there was an attempt. But Vanessa, it was awesome having you on. We very much a treat to hear your insight on stuff. The coasters with instant photography. I don't know why it's stuck in the brain there. It's amazing. Bookmarks, so cool. Really, really love it, and really appreciate having you on. Where can the people find you if they want to go see your amazing work?
On Instagram.
Yeah.
That's the only place you can find my photographs shared. Instant. Those will be on Instagram.com/Vanessa Photo Project.
Nice. I'll put a link in the description. And any final thoughts? Anything you want to add right before we wrap up?
Final thoughts. I hope that the listeners of your show are inspired to take a moment and feel thankful for something in their lives today.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that so much. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, Chris, for having me.
Ooh, man. Wow. What a great conversation. Her insights, her views really got me thinking, especially those coasters and bookmark idea with your photos. That's so cool. I can't believe I've never thought about doing something like that before. I'm probably gonna do that. I've got a lot of photos laying around. I'm sure you do too. So why don't you utilize those photos for something really fun? If you want to follow Vanessa's journey with this project, you can do so. There's a link in the description below, or head on over to her Instagram page, Vanessa Photo Project. It's really cool. Check out what she's got going on and what she has cooking up in the future. And I appreciate you guys for watching and listening to this episode, because this is in video and audio form on Spotify and YouTube. And there's extended versions of every single episode, pretty much in their raw form, mostly uncut, over in the Spitfire Club or Patreon. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Now, get out there, make some art.